It is 1900. You are a resident of Galveston, Texas, the wealthiest city per capita in the United States. 38,000 people on a sand island barely 8 feet above the Gulf of Mexico. This morning, people are walking to the beach to watch the waves. By dawn tomorrow, approximately 8,000 of them will be dead. The deadliest natural disaster in American history. And this city was not destroyed by ignorance. It had been told, in print, by a credentialed federal meteorologist that a destructive storm surge on this coast was physically impossible. That guarantee is what we are here to examine: how the warning was buried, what the surge did, and what it cost the man who wrote those words to be wrong. This is the hour-by-hour reconstruction. Stay with it to the end. Galveston sat on a barrier island in the Gulf of Mexico, not metaphorically exposed, physically. The natural dunes that had once offered the only landward buffer had been excavated and used as fill. By 1900, the island's highest point reached roughly 2.7 meters above sea level. There was nothing between the city and open water. In 1891, Isaac Cline, the U.S. Weather Bureau's chief meteorologist for Texas, published a formal article concluding that a destructive storm surge reaching Galveston was physically impossible. The offshore slope, he argued, made it so. The city read this and stopped asking the question. Cline was not speculating informally. He was the Bureau's official regional authority. His conclusion was cited in civic planning, repeated in public discourse, and used directly to argue against constructing a seawall. By 1900, Galveston was the economic capital of Texas. The confidence was not irrational. It had professional authorization. That is what makes what follows exact in its cost. The storm formed off the West African coast and crossed the Atlantic through late August. On September 4th, it struck Cuba. Winds exceeded 100 miles per hour. Meteorologists at the Colegio de Belén Observatory in Havana tracked the system closely and sent urgent warnings to Washington. This storm was not curving northeast. It was entering the Gulf of Mexico. Washington set those warnings aside. The U.S. Weather Bureau trusted its own models over Cuban analysis. Professional rivalry between the two institutions had hardened into policy. The Bureau forecast the storm would track up the Atlantic seaboard. No evacuation order was issued. No formal alert reached the island. On the night of September 7th, Galveston's 38,000 residents went to sleep with no official warning that a direct strike was hours away. The institutional decision had already been made. The storm did not need to announce itself. Friday, September 7th. Isaac Cline raises the storm warning flag on order. He complies, but what holds his attention is not the flag, it is the Gulf itself. Heavy swells are rolling in from the southeast. Long, deep, powerful. The surface wind is blowing from the north. The sea and the sky are giving contradictory readings. A barometer, in free fall, swells out of phase with local wind. To anyone trained in tropical meteorology, this is a large system pushing energy ahead of its center from somewhere to the south. Cline understood what he was looking at. He did not file a formal public warning. The record suggests, but does not confirm, that doing so would have required him to contradict the Bureau's official forecast, his own published doctrine. Instead, he rode the beachfront that evening, house to house, urging people to move. The city did not evacuate. The island's highest point was 8.7 feet. By nightfall, the window was closing. Saturday, September 8th, 1900. Families walked to the beach to watch the waves. The Gulf was producing enormous swells. Children were brought to the water's edge. People gathered at the bathhouses along the shore to watch. Isaac Cline rode a horse-drawn cart along the beachfront through the early morning hours, warning residents to move inland. Some listened, many did not. The sky was not yet violent. The danger had no visible shape. By 10 in the morning, water was entering the island from 2 directions simultaneously. The Gulf pushing north, Galveston Bay pushing south. The streets were flooding from both sides at once. By 11, the bridges to the mainland were submerged. The island was sealed. 38,000 people were now on a sand strip, maximum elevation 8.7 feet, with a Category 4 hurricane bearing down. Cline's final telegraph read, "Gulf rising rapidly." Half the city now underwater. On the morning of September 9th, Galveston streets held more dead than the living could count. Sea burial failed. The bodies returned. For 6 weeks, pyres burned across the island. The final toll cannot be fixed. Somewhere between 6,000 and 12,000 whole families gone without a witness. The engineering answer took 7 years. A 17-foot seawall, an entire city lifted on pumped sand. It held through Carla, Alicia, and Ike. The city it protected never recovered its former weight. Houston absorbed that. Galveston became a beach town. Cline continued his career. The 1891 article was never fully retracted. Cora's body came ashore nearly a month later, at the same stretch of beach where the family had survived. The seawall stands. Tourists walk it. The Gulf is quiet. It does not look like what it is. The sources used in this reconstruction are listed in the description: primary records, historical analyses, and the meteorological documentation of the 1900 storm. Another last day every week.